Parents who track their kids' search history, what did you see that you never told them? My 20-year-old daughter, living with us to save money, was searching for vibrators online. Reacting impulsively, I kicked her out of the house. But that's not where the story ends. The next day, I found a note she left behind. It was for a college project on sexual health and the stigma surrounding it. My heart sank. I had judged too quickly. I spent the next few weeks trying to contact her, but she wouldn't respond. Then, one evening, she came home. She had tears in her eyes, but they weren't just of sadness. She had used the experience to create a powerful college presentation on privacy, trust, and the misconceptions parents often have about their children's online activities. Her presentation won an award, and she was invited to speak at other schools. Her project sparked a citywide conversation about parental involvement and youth privacy. Continuing from where the story left off, I found myself in a whirlwind of emotions and thoughts. My daughter's unexpected success with her project was a bittersweet pill to swallow. I was proud of her achievements, but deep down, I knew that her success was born out of my mistake. A mistake that had cost us weeks of silence and strained our relationship. As days passed, I noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She was more withdrawn, spending long hours in her room, her eyes often red-rimmed from crying. The weight of my actions hung heavily over our household. I attempted to bridge the gap between us, but my efforts seemed futile. She was polite but distant, and our conversations were superficial at best. One evening, as I was cleaning the house, I stumbled upon an envelope addressed to me, hidden under a stack of old magazines. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, I found a letter from my daughter, pouring out her feelings about the incident. She wrote about her embarrassment, her anger, and how betrayed she felt. But she also wrote about her confusion and the struggle to understand my perspective. Her words struck a chord within me. It was then that I realized the depth of my mistake. I hadn't just invaded her privacy, I had shattered her trust in me. Determined to make amends, I planned a weekend getaway for just the two of us, hoping that a change of scenery would give us the space to talk openly and reconnect. The trip was awkward at first. We were like two strangers trying to navigate a fragile truce. However, as we engaged in different activities together, the ice began to thaw. We went hiking, shared meals, and even laughed together, something that had become rare in our home. On the last night of our trip, sitting by a campfire under the stars, we finally had the conversation I had been hoping for. I apologized sincerely, expressing my regret and promising to respect her privacy and autonomy. She listened quietly, her eyes glistening in the firelight. After a long pause, she spoke. Her voice was soft but firm as she shared her perspective and feelings. It was a heart-wrenching, honest exchange that lasted well into the night. As we returned home, there was a noticeable shift in our relationship. We were more open with each other, and a new level of respect had been established. My daughter gradually became more involved in advocating for youth privacy and continued to speak at various forums. Her experience had turned her into a passionate activist, and I couldn't have been prouder. A few months later, she moved out to live on her own. It was a bittersweet moment, but I knew it was necessary for her growth. We kept in touch regularly, and our conversations were now filled with mutual respect and understanding. One day, she invited me to attend one of her presentations. As I sat in the audience watching her confidently address a room full of people, I was overwhelmed with emotion. She spoke eloquently about the importance of trust, communication, and respecting boundaries within families. Her words resonated with everyone in the room, and I felt a surge of pride. After the presentation, several people approached me, expressing their admiration for her courage and insights. They were unaware of the role I had played in her journey, and I kept it that way. It was her moment, her achievement. As we drove back home, she turned to me with a smile. "You know, I think we've come a long way, haven't we?" I nodded, feeling a sense of peace and contentment. Yes, we certainly have. Our journey had been fraught with challenges and mistakes, but it had also been a journey of growth, understanding, and healing. As the city lights blurred past us, I realized that sometimes the most profound lessons in life come from our biggest mistakes. And in those moments of realization, we find the strength to change, to learn, and to grow. The story took an unexpected turn when my daughter introduced me to her boyfriend, Mark, a few weeks after she moved out. I hadn't known she was seeing anyone, and the news caught me off guard. Mark, a psychology graduate student, was not only supportive of her activism, but also deeply involved in research related to family dynamics and youth behavior. This coincidence intrigued me. At first, I was apprehensive about their relationship, given the recent upheavals in our family. However, Mark turned out to be a thoughtful and respectful young man. He often joined our family dinners, and his insights into psychological aspects of parent-child relationships added depth to our conversations. One evening during dinner at my house, the conversation veered into the territory of Mark's research. He was working on a controversial project that explored how significant emotional events in a person's life could potentially unlock latent abilities or traits. His theory was that intense emotional experiences could act as catalysts for developing heightened empathy, intuition, or even, as he daringly suggested, extrasensory perception. My daughter laughed it off, but I was intrigued. "Do you really believe that, Mark?" I asked, half skeptically. Mark's response was earnest. "There's more to the human mind than we understand," he said. "My research is exploring these boundaries." The discussion sparked an idea in my daughter's mind. She proposed an experiment, half in jest, to test Mark's theory. She suggested that we, as a family, should participate in an exercise to see if any of us had developed such abilities, given the emotional roller coaster we had been through. We all agreed, thinking of it as a fun activity. The experiment was simple. We would each try to guess personal details or thoughts about each other that we hadn't previously disclosed. It started off lighthearted, with easy guesses and laughter. But as the game progressed, things took a bizarre turn. Mark, who had been quiet so far, suddenly made an astonishingly accurate guess about a childhood incident of mine that I had never shared with anyone, not even my daughter. The room fell silent. His guess was too precise, too detailed to be a mere coincidence. My daughter looked at Mark, a mixture of surprise and curiosity on her face. "How did you know that?" she asked. Mark smiled enigmatically. "Maybe there's some truth to my theory after all," he replied. The atmosphere in the room shifted. What started as a game had now sown seeds of intrigue and mystery. We continued with a few more rounds, but the lightheartedness was gone, replaced by a sense of wonder and perhaps a touch of unease. After dinner, as I was cleaning up, my daughter approached me. "What do you think about Mark's theory?" she asked, her voice tinged with a mix of skepticism and fascination. "I don't know what to think," I admitted, but tonight was unusual. The incident with Mark opened up a new realm of possibilities and questions. Was there truly more to the human mind than we understood? Had our emotional journey unlocked something extraordinary? In the weeks that followed, the dynamics of our interactions subtly changed. Conversations often veered into discussions about the human psyche, the potential of the mind, and the unexplained mysteries of life. Mark's presence brought a new dimension to our family, blending the psychological with the mystical. As for my daughter, she seemed more intrigued than ever, diving deeper into her activism and studies, perhaps looking for answers to questions that Mark's theory had raised. The story, which had started with a simple mistake and a lesson in trust and privacy, had now evolved into an exploration of the unknown, a journey into the depths of the human mind and the mysteries it holds.